There's a moment when someone asks you for something, a favor, your time, maybe just attention, and before you even think, the word yes is already out. It lands in the space between you like a promise you didn't mean to make, and the other person lights up, relieved, grateful. But inside, something tightens. A knot forms somewhere near your ribs. You smile, nod, say it's no problem, but later, alone in your car or your kitchen, you feel it, resentment, not at them, at yourself, because you did it again. You said yes when every part of you wanted to say no. It happens in small ways. A coworker asks you to cover their shift. Your mother calls and talks for an hour about her problems while you sit there, silent, holding your own stress like a secret. A friend makes plans and assumes you'll go along, and you do, because saying no feels dangerous, like it might crack something open you can't put back together. So you keep giving, keep bending, keep pretending the cost isn't adding up, but it is. The exhaustion, the tightness in your chest, the way you sometimes snap at people you love over nothing, the way you lie awake replaying conversations, wishing you'd said something different. That knot near your ribs, it's not going anywhere. It's been there for years, and you're starting to wonder if this is just what life feels like now. If this is all there is, managing other people's needs while your own pile up in a corner you never look at. This pattern shows up everywhere. At work, you take on extra projects because you don't want to seem lazy or difficult. You stay late without being asked. You cover for colleagues who don't return the favor. And when your manager praises you for being such a team player, you feel a mix of pride and something darker, because you know you're not choosing this. You're just too afraid to stop. At home, you manage everyone's emotions, keeping the peace, absorbing tension, making sure no one gets upset. You're the emotional thermostat, constantly adjusting yourself to keep the temperature comfortable for everyone else.
But who's adjusting for you? Who's noticing when you're too hot, too cold, too depleted to keep going? With friends, you're the one who listens, who shows up, who remembers the details of their lives and asks how they're doing. But when was the last time someone asked about you? When was the last time you let them? Maybe they try sometimes and you deflect. I'm fine, what about you? Because talking about yourself feels uncomfortable, like you're taking up too much space, like you're being selfish or needy or too much. There's Sarah, 34, who spends every Sunday at her parents' house, even though she dreads it. She sits at the table while her mother criticizes her weight, her job, her lack of a partner. Sarah smiles, says nothing, feels her throat close up. She tells herself she's being kind, that family is important, that speaking up would only make things worse. Later, she drives home and eats half a carton of ice cream in silence, the only act of rebellion she allows herself, the only place she says no, even if it's just to her own well-being. There's Michael, 29, who lends money to his brother every few months. The brother never pays it back, never says thank you, never acknowledges the pattern. Michael knows this. He's known it for years. But when his brother texts asking for help, Michael transfers the money without a word, because saying no feels cruel, like he'd be the bad guy, like he'd be abandoning family. So he says yes and watches his savings shrink and feels anger simmering underneath everything. Anger he never expresses. Anger that leaks out in irritability at work, in tension headaches, in a low-grade bitterness he can't quite name. There's the friend who always cancels last minute but expects you to be available whenever they need you. The partner who makes plans without asking, assuming you'll adjust your schedule. The boss who texts at 9 p.m. expecting immediate responses. And you let it happen. Because somewhere along the way, you learned that your needs don't matter as much as other people's comfort. That being good means being easy. That love is earned by how much you give, not by who you are. This doesn't start in adulthood. It starts early, in the small lessons no one says out loud. A girl learns that being polite, accommodating, sweet keeps adults happy. She learns that anger makes her difficult, that saying no makes her selfish, that taking up space makes her too much. So she swallows it. She learns to read the room, anticipate needs, adjust herself to make others comfortable. And it works. She gets praised for being so mature, so helpful, so easy to be around. She becomes the good girl, the one who doesn't cause problems.
A boy learns that being tough, independent, unbothered is what makes him strong. He learns that asking for help is weakness, that showing hurt is embarrassing, that crying is shameful. So he learns to carry everything alone, to never admit when something's too much, to push through pain without complaint. And people say he's capable, reliable, strong. So he keeps doing it, even when it's crushing him, even when he's so tired he can barely function, because admitting struggle would mean admitting he's not who he's supposed to be. These lessons get buried deep. They become part of your operating system. By the time you're an adult, you don't even notice you're doing it. You just feel the consequences, the exhaustion that doesn't lift with sleep, the resentment that colors everything, the sense that you're living someone else's life, playing a role you never auditioned for. Psychologists talk about boundaries as the invisible lines that mark where you end and someone else begins. They're not walls. They're not about keeping people out or being cold or shutting down connection. They're about knowing what you can give without losing yourself, what you need to protect to stay whole, what's yours to carry and what belongs to someone else. It sounds simple, but for people who learned early that their needs don't count, boundaries feel impossible. Like saying "I matter" out loud in a room that's always told you to be quiet. Like claiming space you were taught doesn't belong to you. Carl Jung, the psychologist who studied the hidden parts of the self, believed that everything you reject about yourself doesn't disappear. It goes underground, into what he called the shadow. For people who can't set boundaries, the shadow often holds the voice that says no. The part that gets angry, that refuses, that prioritizes itself. The part that's selfish in the best sense of the word, capable of having a self, of protecting it, of honoring it. You push it down because it feels dangerous, because you've been taught that this part is bad, that it makes you unlovable. So you bury it. You become the accommodating one, the flexible one, the one who never makes waves. But the buried part doesn't stay quiet. It leaks out in ways you can't control. In passive aggression, in sudden outbursts over small things, in chronic fatigue, in illness. Your body keeps score, even when your mind pretends everything's fine. So what does it look like when boundaries are missing? It shows up in how you talk to yourself. You say yes to a request and immediately feel dread pooling in your stomach. You replay conversations obsessively, wishing you'd spoken up, imagining what you should have said. You feel guilty for wanting time alone. You apologize constantly, even when you've done nothing wrong. You explain and justify your decisions to people who didn't ask, trying to prove you're still good, still deserving of their approval. It shows up in your body. Tension headaches that won't quit, jaw clenching while you sleep, stomach problems that doctors can't explain, exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix. Your nervous system stays on high alert, braced for the next demand, the next disappointment, the next moment when you'll have to choose between yourself and someone else's comfort. And you always choose them. It shows up in relationships. You attract people who take more than they give because you've trained them to expect it. You become the reliable one, the one they call when they need something, but not when they're celebrating. You feel invisible in your own life, like a supporting character in everyone else's story. You watch other people set boundaries easily and wonder what's wrong with you, why it feels so hard, why you can't just speak up. And then there's projection. This is when you see in others what you can't admit in yourself. You meet someone who says no easily, who protects their time, who doesn't apologize for having needs. And instead of admiring it, you feel irritated. You think they're selfish, cold, uncaring, rude. You judge them harshly because they're doing what you can't let yourself do. They're living with the boundaries you've rejected. And it bothers you because it mirrors back everything you've been taught to suppress. Or you meet someone who's passive, who can't say no, who lets people walk all over them. And you feel contempt. You think they're weak, pathetic. Why don't they just stand up for themselves? But really, you're looking at yourself, at the part you hate, the part that feels helpless and small and powerless. So you judge it out there instead of facing it in here. Because facing it means admitting you're the same, that you're also stuck in this pattern you can't seem to break. This is exhausting. Living without boundaries means you're constantly managing other people's emotions while ignoring your own. You're performing a version of yourself that keeps everyone comfortable, and the cost is a quiet, growing emptiness, a sense that you're not really living, just surviving, just keeping everyone else okay while you disappear a little more each day. You start to feel like a ghost in your own life, present but not seen, giving but not received. You wonder if anyone would notice if you stopped, if they'd miss you or just miss what you do for them. And that thought, dark as it is, tells you something important. It tells you the cost of living this way is higher than you've been willing to admit. But here's the shift. Boundaries aren't about becoming hard or selfish. They're not about cutting people off or never helping anyone. They're not about building walls or shutting down your heart. They're about honoring the truth of what you can give without resentment, about recognizing that you're a person too, that your time, your energy, your feelings have value. Not because you earn it, not because you prove it, just because you exist. The anger, the guilt, the discomfort that comes up when you even think about saying no, that's not proof you're doing something wrong. It's information. It's showing you where the old lessons still have power, where you still believe that being loved means erasing yourself, where you've internalized the idea that your worth depends on your usefulness. Setting boundaries doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you care in a way that's sustainable, in a way that doesn't destroy you. It means you're honest about your limits instead of pretending they don't exist. And that honesty, uncomfortable as it is the foundation of real connection. Because when you're honest about what you can give, people know they're getting the real you, not a performance, not a martyr, not someone who'll resent them later, just you. So how do you start? Not with big, dramatic confrontations, not by suddenly saying no to everything and watching your life implode. That's a recipe for panic and backsliding. You start small. You start by noticing, by paying attention to the signals you've been ignoring for years. Pay attention to your body. When someone makes a request, pause for 3 seconds before answering. Notice what happens in your chest, your stomach, your throat. Is there tightness, dread, a sinking feeling? That's data. Your body knows before your mind does. It's telling you something. You don't have to act on it right away. Just notice it. Write it down later. When my sister asked me to babysit, I felt my chest tighten. I said yes anyway. That's enough for now. Just seeing the pattern. Just acknowledging that your body has an opinion. Practice saying no to low-stakes things. The email asking for a meeting you don't have time for. The optional social event you don't want to attend. The second helping of food when you're full. The phone call you don't want to answer right now. These are training wheels. You're teaching yourself that saying no doesn't end the world, that people survive your refusal, that you survive their disappointment. When you do say no, keep it simple. No long explanations, no justifications, no elaborate stories about why you can't. I can't make it, but thanks for thinking of me. That doesn't work for my schedule. I'm not available. The urge to explain is strong because you're trying to soften the blow, trying to prove you're still good, still worthy. But over-explaining invites negotiation. It signals that your no isn't final. Keep it short. Let the discomfort sit there. It will pass. Set boundaries with yourself first. This is the part people skip. You can't hold boundaries with others if you don't have them with yourself, so start there. Decide on one thing you'll protect this week. Maybe it's 20 minutes in the morning before you check your phone. Maybe it's a walk after work with no interruptions. Maybe it's saying no to one thing that drains you. Pick something small and guard it like it matters, because it does. It's teaching you that your needs are real, that they deserve protection. Notice when you're doing something out of guilt instead of genuine care. Guilt says, I should. Care says, I want to. They feel different in your body. Guilt is heavy, obligatory, resentful. It sits in your stomach like a stone. Care is lighter, voluntary, even when it's hard. It has a different quality. If you're doing something only because you're afraid of how someone will react if you don't, that's not care, that's fear. And fear isn't a good reason to give your time or energy. Practice disappointing people in small ways. This sounds harsh, but it's necessary. You've spent years trying to keep everyone happy. That's an impossible job. So start letting people experience mild disappointment. Say no to the favor. Skip the event. Let the text go unanswered for a few hours. Watch what happens. Most of the time, nothing catastrophic occurs. People move on. They find another solution. They're fine. And you learn that their discomfort isn't your emergency, that you're not responsible for managing everyone's feelings all the time. Talk to the part of you that wants to say no. This is active imagination, something Jung used to integrate the shadow. Close your eyes and picture the part of you that's tired of giving, the part that's angry, that wants to rest, that wants to be left alone. What does it look like? What does it want to say? Let it speak without editing. Write it down. You might be surprised by what comes up. Rage, exhaustion, a deep aching need to be seen.
Don't judge it. Just listen. This part has been silenced for years. It needs to be heard. It needs to know you're finally paying attention. Find people who respect boundaries. This matters more than you think. If everyone in your life expects you to be endlessly available, changing will feel impossible. But if you have even one person who says, "I'm glad you're protecting your time," or "You don't owe me an explanation," it makes the work easier. Surround yourself, even in small ways, with people who model what you're trying to learn, who show you that it's possible to care deeply and still have limits. Start a weekly practice of saying no to something small, not because you have to, just to practice, to build the muscle, to prove to yourself that you can do it and survive, that the world doesn't collapse, that relationships don't end, that you're still lovable even when you're not endlessly accommodating. Over time, things shift. Not all at once, not perfectly, but you start to feel less frantic, less trapped. You say yes when you mean it and no when you don't. And the guilt still comes, but it's quieter, less insistent. You start to trust that people who truly care about you will respect your limits. And the ones who don't, well, you see them more clearly. You realize some relationships were built on your availability, not on mutual care. And that's painful, but it's also clarifying. It shows you who's interested in you as a person versus who's interested in what you can do for them. You notice you have more energy because you're not constantly managing everyone else's emotions. You're not performing. You're not carrying the weight of other people's needs while ignoring your own. There's space now. Space to think, to feel, to want things. Space to be a person instead of a function. Space to discover what you actually like, what you actually want, who you actually are beneath all the accommodating. Your relationships change too. Some deepen because now you're showing up as yourself, not as a caretaker or a people pleaser. There's honesty now, realness. People can trust what you say because you're not just telling them what they want to hear. Some relationships fade because they couldn't survive your honesty. They needed you to stay small, to stay convenient. And losing them hurts, but it also creates space for connections built on something more solid. And new relationships form, built on the truth of who you are now. People who see you as whole, who don't need you to disappear to feel comfortable, who can handle your no without making you the villain, who appreciate your yes because they know it's genuine. You still mess up. You still say yes when you mean no sometimes. You still feel guilty for taking up space. Old patterns don't vanish overnight, but you're quicker to catch it, quicker to adjust, and you forgive yourself faster because you know this is lifelong work, not a problem to solve once and forget. A skill to practice over and over in different situations with different people in different contexts. The internal dialogue changes. Instead of "I'm so selfish," it becomes "I'm allowed to have needs." Instead of "they'll hate me if I say no," it becomes "their reaction isn't my responsibility." Instead of "I should be able to handle this," it becomes "I'm allowed to ask for help."
These small shifts in language rewire the old beliefs. Slowly, but they do. And the biggest change? You start to feel like you belong in your own life. Like you're not just the supporting character in everyone else's story. You make choices based on what's true for you, not what keeps the peace. You disappoint people and survive it. You take up space without apologizing. You rest without guilt. You exist without performing. It's not happiness exactly. It's something steadier, something quieter. It's the sense that you're finally living in alignment with yourself. That the person you are in private and the person you are in public are starting to match. That you're not constantly betraying yourself to keep others comfortable. You learn that real connection doesn't require you to be empty. That the people worth keeping don't need you to be a bottomless well. They want you whole, complex, honest. They want your real yes, not your obligatory one. And when you start offering that, your honest, boundaried, sometimes inconvenient self, you discover that love doesn't disappear. It just becomes more real. There's a moment, after months of small no's and tiny boundaries, when someone asks you for something and you pause. You feel the old pull, the old guilt rising like a wave. But you also feel something else, a clarity, a knowing, a quiet voice that says, "Not this time." And you say, simply, "I can't." And the world doesn't end. The person moves on, and you sit there, breathing, feeling the space where the knot used to be. It's still tender, but it's lighter now, softer. And that lightness feels like the beginning of something you didn't know you were allowed to want. Freedom. Not from people, not from connection. From the belief that you have to disappear to be loved. From the lie that your needs are less important than everyone else's comfort. From the exhausting performance of being endlessly available while slowly vanishing inside. If this resonated with you, subscribe for more videos on psychology and personal growth. What part of this hit home for you? Let me know in the comments. I read them all.